Oh yes, here we are back again. It is Wednesday, May 13th, May 14th, I guess it is, 2025. Sorry guys, I'm trying to get used to this new camera setup. So for those of you watching, I have a little bit of a new camera setup right now. I got some feedback on YouTube, and it was good feedback. I'm glad I got it, but it was that, hey man, I can't see what you're actually looking at. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for me to take you seriously when I can't see what you're looking at. And I get that. I totally do get that, actually. I took that feedback as well-meaning. And so that was one of the reasons why yesterday there was no segment. The other part of it was, for some reason, I recorded it. I was watching the time clock, and I went to post it, and there was nothing. And of course, the video feed, it records the audio of it, but it doesn't have all the sound bites and the intro music and anything else. So it's not near the quality of say, the actual feed itself, the actual audio feed, that is. So I don't know. I wasn't thrilled with it. I don't want to give you guys second-rate product. So, and I don't know, I'll be honest with you, it wasn't my best work. I was actually disappointed in the product itself, the result. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to remodel the studio a little bit, get that done. I've been meaning to do that for a couple days now, actually a couple weeks. And I thought, to heck with it, I'm going to do it today, and got that done. And so now you see the paneling behind me, temporary for now, but give you an idea of what I'm going towards. Eventually I will have my on-air light, I think, in this area here at some point. I'm not sure how that's going to work yet, but one problem at a time, right? So anyway, hopefully this works. I am going to try it today, having the screen recording as I play this. So get that worked in. Okay, enough chit chat and going behind the scenes and all that stuff. Let's go ahead and get to the things we have going on today, shall we? Okay, so first of all, I want to dig into a couple things here. Yesterday, I kind of worked in a little bit about some stuff with Tom Tillis and his continual, seemingly unending flip-flopping on key issues. Now, Tillis, as you know, he was the one who sandbagged Trump on the Ed Martin nomination. And it's funny because Tom Tillis came out yesterday, or day before yesterday, I guess it was, and said, oh, well, the golden age is beginning. President Trump's leading us. We're doing great. The golden age is beginning. And my thought with Tillis and a bunch of these other Republicans is, okay, so is that in spite of you idiots or with you guys? Because right now, honestly, it looks like it's in spite of, which I find, of course, mildly hilarious. But again, Tillis is very good at moving the posts. You know what I mean? He'll say one thing, and then he'll say something that's a little bit opposed to it, but maybe there's just a little bit of commonality. So just enough to keep everybody in line, so to speak. But Tillis is very good at that. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see North Carolina keep putting him back in every single time. It was kind of like with John McCain. It was frustrating to see Arizona voters put him in so often when it was very clear that McCain couldn't have cared less about what the voters actually thought. Couldn't have cared less. Not at all. It was just whatever it took to get him back into office. And unfortunately, a lot of politicians are like that. By the way, before we get any further, I want to real quick call out. We talked about this company yesterday, but Drew Davis's Crippling Hot Sauce Company. I'm wearing their shirt right now. So you can see Crippling Hot Sauce. It's got the little jalapeno in a wheelchair there. And again, just a reminder, these guys I'm not getting paid to talk about this. I'm not. I found this product on an Instagram feed, if you will. And I thought, hey, why not? I'll give it a chance. So gave it a chance. Really actually liked the sauce a lot. The salsa that the hot sauce that they put out. Like them a lot. I got the sampler pack, which I think is 5. Yeah, it's 5 of them. And I'm pretty pleased, actually. Very pleased now that I think about it. And, of course, the fact that he sends some of the proceeds to work with cerebral palsy or work for curing cerebral palsy, which is what he has, well, that's just a benefit, an absolute benefit. So, again, good kid, entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur. I would highly recommend it. So, again, Crippling Hot Sauce. Drew Davis is the founder. So, good to you, Drew. Keep it up. All right. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way, that shameless plug, let's get right into the topics of the day. I want to first bring up Andy Ngo. Andy Ngo is, for those of you who don't know, a fantastic reporter who knows probably more about Antifa than I would say anybody out there. He has written fantastic books about Antifa. Just go to the iBook store or Play Store, wherever you get your literature, and look up Andy Ngo and then get his books. They're well worth it. Anyway, he posted this to his X account. Antifa accounts are sharing a guide on how to make incendiary devices that will burn cables used in infrastructure, like on train tracks. Antifa and anarchist extremists believe that domestic terrorist attacks must be used to destabilize and destroy the state. Now, this is kind of scary. I mean, you look at this, and it talks about literally destroying cables. They're completely bonkers, these people. It's, man, I do not understand how people can honestly do this. I mean, it's one thing if you have a government that is like, say, for example, Cambodia, back post-Vietnam with Pol Pot and all them. Or the Khmer Rouge, rather. Anything like that. That's one thing. But this, I mean, good grief. This is just, again, it's literal terrorism. And so I hope that we start taking these groups, these domestic terrorist groups, a lot more seriously. And we get DHS, FBI, NSA, all these people start paying more attention to these folks than they do, for example, state so-called militias that are out there that are just, there to protect the homeland, that aren't really doing anything that it will actually, hurt people or kill people per se. Anyway, now, of course, if they cross that line, well, there you go. So anyway, that was just one thing I wanted to bring up real quick. Andy Ngo does some wonderful work, and we all really, really ought to support him. Next up. This one, I have been, oh my gosh. So who remembers this gem? This is from CNN from back, oh gosh, it was a couple of years ago, I guess it was. Must be 20, well, it was during the first Trump administration. But this little pansy CNN reporter went on and tried to shoot an AR-15. Now, if you're looking at the screen here, you can see this guy's posture is like this. He's holding the gun. I had my AR in here the other day, yesterday when I was doing this piece, and frankly, like I said, I didn't quite work out like I wanted it to, but he's holding it way back here, like he's scared to death of it. And again, if you could see the screen, great. If you can't, just let me put it this way. You get a lot of first-time firearm owners, and they lean back, or firearm shooters, rather, and they lean back, which is, of course, the exact wrong thing to do. So nobody has taught this man how to shoot. So he goes out to the range with someone. Let's listen to what this sounds like, because you actually need to hear this story. It's about a 1:35 soundbite, and we may pause it as it goes.
This is what an AR-15 sounds like.
Okay, stop the tape for just a second. Now, if you're watching this guy, he's not using the sighting system at all. He's not. He's not looking at the sights. He is way up here. He's leaned back. He's way up above the sights. And when he's shooting, he's obviously not got it against his body because it's rocking his body so hard. And again, he's leaning back, and he keeps leaning back. And, of course, that makes the recoil impulse shake your body even more, which is not good. So let's keep going on this, shall we?
General Mark Hertling served in the U.S. Army for 37 years, so he knows what the AR-15, which used to be a weapon of war, can do.
Okay, so he served for this lieutenant general served in the Army for 37 years, according to this. My question is this. If he served for 37 years, so let's say this is from, I don't know, 20, I don't remember when exactly the story was, but I want to say it was from, let's just say it's from 2017, okay? So 10 minus 30, 1980, okay? Wait until you hear this guy describe the AR-15, and wait until you hear him talk about, he doesn't mention the 5.56 millimeter bullet per se, or round rather, but just listen to this guy, and you tell me if this is a general, if this is one of the, how do I put this, one of the REMF generals. And you folks that have served in the U.S. military know what I'm talking about there. I haven't, by the way, just full disclosure. I did not serve. But you tell me if this general sounds like an REMF general versus a guy who's out there on the front lines, you know, or relatively so, leading actual warriors.
He has strong feelings
basically
about
a political general.
The semi-automatic assault-style rifle, which is the precursor to a weapon currently used by the military, the M4.
The truth of the matter is they look almost exactly the same.
So this is the M4 military rifle.
Right.
This is the AR-15.
Right. A lot of people will buy this just because it's cool and they want to appear like soldiers.
Okay, so anybody that buys what this guy is, a lot of people will buy this just because they want to be cool and look like soldiers. Or because they want the big kid version of Legos. Because that's what the AR-15 is. For those of you who have never shot an AR-15, maybe in the next segment I'll bring one of mine in here. For those of you who have never owned an AR-15 or never shot an AR-15 or, you know, just had the chance to run around with it, let me explain it to you. So, like Legos, it's very modular. You take the base receiver, okay? We'll say lower and upper, and, you know, we'll just leave it kind of similar like that. Lower, upper, you know, barrel is on there. We'll put just a regular extension tube on there, collapsible, because they're talking about M4s and AR-15s. So a carbine, or what do they call it? A collapsible extension tube instead of a fixed stock, right? Instead of an M16 style stock. Anyway, but after that, you can go absolutely nuts. You can replace the pistol grip. You know, if you don't like the standard military style pistol grip, if you want something a little more straight up and down, you can do that. You can replace, you know, if you have a strong side safety only, in other words, designed for right-handed shooters, and you want something that's ambidextrous because you're left-handed, no problem. You can do that. You can get a left-handed upper that ejects out the left side of the gun instead of the right. Okay. You can get new handguards. You know, you can get railed handguards, smooth, whatever you want to do. You could take the fixed front sight off and put a low profile gas block if you want a handguard that's really, really long. I'll show you what that looks like too. You can go completely nuts. You can get a trigger that is a match trigger, right? 2-stage or single stage. Lighter, heavier, whatever you want to do. You can put a new buttstock on it, right? Maybe one that is has a storage compartment in it. If you want to keep, you know, a repair kit or whatnot, you can do that. You can put different sights on it. You can have flip up sights like a Magpul set, you know, or whatever, or you can keep that front or fixed front post, put a carry handle on it, you know, like the old M16 and even the M16A4. You can go absolutely crazy. You can kit it out as much as you want or as little as you want. It's up to you. you can get this thing set up so that it fits you perfectly. And guess what? That's just the start. You could take and run the standard 5.56 NATO round. You can switch up to, if you want, let's say you wanted to do, you wanted to do something that was like in Washington State, we have to have a 6mm bullet minimum to hunt deer. Let's say you want to use your AR-15 as a hunting rifle, okay, just instead of plinking and, stuff like that, or you want to use big game rather. 5.56 is legal for small game like coyotes and stuff like that, and it works very well, actually. But you could throw a 6.5 Grendel barrel on there, a barrel and a bolt, you could get a new bolt face and all that stuff. You could do that. You could get 6.8 SPC. Okay. There's all kinds of different chain rings. One of the big hot ones now is 300 Blackout. 300 Blackout uses a 30 caliber bullet, so a bigger bullet, heavier, but uses a 5.56 NATO case blown out to 30 cal and chopped back 10 millimeters. So it's 7.62 by 35, right? And you can run that suppressed, you can run it unsuppressed, whatever. I mean, this is one of the most useful tools for home defense, for hunting / harvesting, animals, for, going out and patrolling. Let's say you have a ranch, right? And you're having problems with coyotes or wolves, and you want to fix that problem. These guns are accurate enough to where you could take 300-meter shots and have it work quite well. And that's, again, with the 5.56. Now, 5.56, 300 yard or 300 meters, you're going to want to use a little heavier bullet, so probably like a 69 grain bullet, whatever. The point is you could do all kinds of things with these guns. They're extremely useful, right? This isn't like, well, let's see here. I want a bolt action gun because I don't want to have one of those scary military rifles. All rifles are military rifles, just so you know. But, I need to have it in something where I can use it to get small animals, but also harvest large game. Okay, great. Well, how large? Deer? Well, yeah, deer, but we also have elk around here. Well, that's going to make it tough because now, let's see. I mean, you could run a 270, and that, heavy bullets you could probably use on elk. That would work. Lighter bullets you could do with deer. It's a little bit much for a coyote, but I guess if you have to. But home defense, it's a little much. It'll work, of course. You hit somebody with that. But again, with the AR, you want to do different. You're running a 5.56, and you want to go, yeah, you know what? I want to use a 300 Blackout, and I'm going to register my receiver as a short barrel rifle. So I'll just put on my 8.5 inch 300 Blackout upper, change the bolt, or, I don't even need to change the bolt face in it, or the bolt carrier rather. Don't even need to change the magazines. Just change the upper, right? Take my Title I, my legal 16 inch upper off, put my short barrel upper on, again, because I registered the receiver. So, bam, there you go. Or, if it's a pistol, it doesn't matter. But now I've got something that I can legally hunt deer with. Elk, not so much. But again, if you're going to hunt elk, you can do there's cartridges you can do that for too. Out of an AR-15, it might be kind of tough. But the point is you can use this gun for pretty much, it's a Swiss Army knife. It is. Anyway, let's continue listening to this.
A gun collector or a gun aficionado and you want an AR-15, you can certainly buy one, and you should be able to buy one. The problem is when it gets in the hands of the wrong people.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there. The problem is when it gets into the hands of the wrong people. Okay, so how is, and this is something I've asked before, how is making legal gun owners inconvenience, paying a price, having to register their guns, whatever, how is that going to stop bad people from getting the guns. Well, of course it's not. It's not at all. And this is where we run into problems. If we're going to do that, then why on earth would we have anybody, anywhere, anyhow, have any kind of firearm or weapon in general? Knives, rocks. Because a bad person getting a hold of a rock can do pretty bad things. Ask Abel. Now,
Originally built
again,
for the battlefield, a defining character.
For those of you watching this is a general, right? Supposedly a 37-year general. Now, he's using the sighting system, it appears, but look at the way he's holding the gun. The gun's flopping around like a fish. He's not pushing into it, not really. So, again, is this guy a leader, general, or is he a political general? I'm curious.
Characteristic of the AR-15 is the speed and power of the bullet.
Now those are single shots. If I wanted to fire this...
Single shots. You just fired 3 single shots in under 5 seconds. Okay.
On full semi-automatic,
What the hell's full semi-automatic? I'm curious. What is that? Let's rewind that just a little bit, shall we? What is full semi-automatic? Now, you guys who saw this came out, this video got absolutely destroyed by the 2A community. I mean, it was brutalized. And with good reason. This is a supposedly 37-year Army general. What in the hell is full semi-automatic? What is that? I'm curious. Full semi-automatic. Let's see if he kind of gives us a clue here.
single shots. If I wanted to fire this on full semi-automatic, all I do is keep firing. Now, I won't probably hit the target when I do this, when we look at the target later on, but I'm going to fire about 5 shots.
Okay. So full semi-automatic means semi-automatic, just firing your rounds quicker, pulling the trigger a little bit faster. So in other words, instead of going bam, waiting to hear the ring, again, it shouldn't take that long. This is an indoor range, so it's probably under 100 meters. But bam, ting, bam, ting, bam, ting, bam, ting. Instead of that, it's bam, 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 bam. That's full semi-auto. Are you kidding me right now with this? So let's hear what this, again, 37-year-old lieutenant general from the Army does.
It's a weapon designed to inflict maximum damage.
Oh, maximum damage. Well, here's the thing. It's a military round, just like the 30-06, just like the 308, just like pretty much a lot of rounds out there that were developed. It's designed to kill. Now, do you have to use it for that? No, of course not. Let's keep going.
Seen soldiers who have been hit by this weapon and enemies who have been hit by this weapon, where it will literally tear out the inside of the body.
Literally tear out the inside of the body. So so if we're listening to this and we're hearing this right, if I get hit by a 5.56 millimeter NATO round, if I get hit, doesn't matter whether I get hit, where I get hit, in, the shoulder, in the, vitals, whatever, the inside of my body is going to leave. It's going to fly out. I'm going to be a skin sack, essentially. I want to hear that again because it's so stupid.
Hit by this weapon and enemies who have been hit by this weapon, where it will literally tear out the inside of the body.
Tear out the inside of the body. So again, what does he mean by that? Again, does he mean bam, and you're a skin suit? You're a bag of skin. You're kind of the exact opposite of what happened in Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Where the evil Charles Xavier clone woman thing pulls the skin off of one of the bad guys. It's not as horrific as it sounds. It's disgusting, but not horrific. Let me put it this way. It's not like The Walking Dead where it's just basically violence porn. Um, it's the exact opposite of that, though. This would be like all your guts are gone and you're just shedded skin. You're a snake, basically. Is that what he's talking about, or is he talking like, hey, you know what? I got hit, okay, and let's say I got hit in the head and it evacuated my cranium. Yeah, that's part of your inside of your body. Your brain is, and you get hit by a high energy round, and it's going to blow the back of your head off. Sure. Or maybe he got hit, in the body, in the chest cavity, for example, and it opened up a wound in the back that is, maybe like this big, right? And you're losing blood. Sure, that's, the inside of your body. Blood is, you don't just sweat blood, not normally at least. But guess what else could do that? Pretty much any round out there. To say nothing of a knife, to say nothing of, well, let's see. A rock can, reveal the inside of your body. You get brained with a big rock and yeah, it'll crack your skull open. I'm not trying to be gross, by the way. I'm just illustrating a point here. So again, this is supposedly a 37-year military, Army lieutenant general. And I'm not hearing something in there that gives me confidence that he actually is that person, honestly. Now, if y'all are listening and you're veterans and you think, yeah, you know what, this guy knows exactly what he's talking about, and maybe I just have, for some reason, even though I have a lot of AR-15s, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe all these years that I've, spent shooting and working with AR-15s, maybe something just went completely by me. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. So just wanted to bring that up. That one, it's one of those things where you can watch it and you forget about it. You forget how stupid it is until you actually see it again. Anyway, all right. If you're watching on the screen here, another thing let's switch back to Andy Ngo for just a second here. But first, let's go to a music break because, well, it's time. All right, so we're going to go and do a music break real quick. We'll be right back, and we will take from there. We are back. So, just kind of making some notes there on the break. You probably saw it on the camera if you're watching. Just about the insanity of this, that last segment. Go from Antifa. Now, here's the thing. When we talk about Antifa, we have to realize Antifa is, they're not joking around when they say they're a terrorist force. We've seen their actions. We've seen the proof in the pudding, so to speak, in Portland, in Seattle, and in certain cases in other parts of the country, but mostly in the West, in the Northwest here, because that's where they came about for the most part. And if you notice, Antifa doesn't come to small towns. Now, I'm not a big country music fan, but to kind of quote a country music song, I think it's Jason Aldean had that song, Try That in a Small Town. Kind of right there. That's the perfect analogy for this. Try that in a small town. See what it gets you. Antifa doesn't come to small towns. They don't. Or to towns where there is a very active and vibrant 2A community. Why? Because they know that these people do not handle fools well. They do not suffer stupidity well, and there's a very good chance those folks will not make it through the night in one piece if they try and screw with these small town folks. So it's interesting that or isn't it interesting rather, that CNN and all these other places are trying to get us to believe these AR-15s and other rifles and firearms are so bad? Well, it's because, again, a defenseless population is easy to manipulate. If Antifa doesn't, want to deal with, if Antifa can't go somewhere, then they can't affect progressive change, and that's bad to liberals. Now, to the rest of us, that's great. So just keep that in mind, all right? There's a reason why Antifa doesn't go to small towns. It's because we in these small towns know how to stop them. We just show up and tell them, you're not doing that here. You want to peacefully protest? Hey, no problem. More power to you. You want to make your opinion known? Great. We're fine with that. You get frisky? Different matter entirely. All right. Again, we talked about Portland being where Antifa grew up. Let's go back to Andy No for just a second here, because he has an interesting tweet that was put out regarding Portland. Another body, and again, if you're watching the video, you can see this. Another body was found in the river in Portland. I assume he means the Columbia River there, in Portland, Oregon on May 10th. This is the 10th corpse discovered in the water in the last few weeks in the city. The 10th. Not just one. No. 10. It gets better. Local officials say that the public should not be alarmed and that this is normal. Are you ready for this? Because of currents and rising temperatures. So people randomly dying, or dying rather, I don't know if this is random, but people dying in the Columbia River, that's normal because of currents and the rising temperatures. Now, don't get me wrong. The Columbia is a big river down by Portland. You're getting close to the mouth where it, empties out into the Pacific Ocean or thereabouts. And she's a big girl down there. That said, where are these people swimming where the current is so strong that it's taking them like that and killing them? And if that's the case, why isn't it blocked off? Why isn't that area where the current is so strong, why isn't it blocked off? You know what I'm saying? Because you can go down here to the Columbia, down, because it's not too far from where we are right now, about 25 minutes or so. You can go to the Columbia here, and you can wade down into the water deep enough to where, up to your knees or whatnot, but certainly, up to your waist, I guess. Would I do it? No, because I'm paranoid, honestly. I get terrified of losing, of drowning. No thank you. But you could be in there deep enough to where you could, shower and do whatever you want or wash yourself off, which I'm guessing is part of the problem here. Is this is probably homeless and vagrants and whatnot who were trying to clean themselves and ended up getting in a little too deep or getting into a fast-moving section, and the current pulled them under and they died. But again, where is this? Because there's plenty of parts where you can wade in and it's not, the pull isn't that strong. I've been in fast-moving or in and around fast-moving water. And yeah, you know pretty quick. You can tell pretty quick where the water is strong and where it's not. Now, out in the ocean, a whole different deal. I don't go anywhere near the ocean. We were in Seaside, my family and I. Oh, gosh, that was several years ago. And we didn't go maybe more than like ankle, like beyond, too much beyond ankle or even maybe knee deep, simply because currents are very strong in the ocean. They can the pulling out of the current is pretty bad. I don't, like when we were also in Mexico many years ago, and it was in an area that was, it was Acapulco, and there are areas you can get into the water there and there's no current. The tide, comes in and out, of course, but it's buffered well enough to where you don't really have to worry about current. That said, I still get very cautious about things like that. Because, yeah, that would be my, ugh, I would hate to see someone lose their loved one because of that. But again, the fact that it's just, oh, it's normal. Don't be alarmed. 10 people died in the last few weeks. No big deal. This is a liberal city. I mean, defined. You know, it's no big deal. 10 people have lost their life. They've lost their lives. And it's no big deal? Don't worry about it? Are you kidding me right now? Seriously? That's where we're going to go. But again, you have to look at the city itself. Portland, Seattle, they don't care. If they actually cared about human life in these towns, if they actually cared, you would see them going, gee, maybe we ought to stop the human trafficking. Maybe we ought to stop the drug trafficking. Just saying. Maybe we ought to stop, it is a form of indentured servitude, human trafficking. Maybe we ought to stop that. But do you see that? No, you do not. No, you have harm reduction, which encourages people and keeps them on drugs. It encourages poor behavior. You have police stretched super thin because of anti-police laws that have been put into place. When the police can do something, or are there rather on the scene, they're handcuffed by DAs and local law or local attorneys rather, who can go in and argue that anything the police officer does is, racist or biased or some other evil thing. And again, you have then laws on top of that where, if it's under $1,000, that's in California, but still, if it's under $1,000, no big deal. And hell, up in Portland until recently, drug use was entirely legal. You could possess any type of drugs you wanted. Now, they've had to backtrack on that because it got so bad that it was out of control. But that's just to people that live in these areas, the politicians, that is, they don't live in that. You don't get the mayor of the city of Portland, or Governor, what's her name, Kotek. You don't get her living in this area where you got all these, these vagrants and illegal immigrants and all this stuff. They don't live there. She doesn't live there. She goes from her high-end, probably gated community to her work at the mayor, at the governor's mansion, whatever it is, and then back home again. She has people that keep her house. She has people that do her shopping for you or for her. She doesn't need to worry about any of that. It doesn't affect her one bit. Neither is it her, her high-end donors. They don't care. Doesn't affect them. Which is one of the reasons why I like Todd Herman's thing of make them live in the world they created. Oh, it's interesting. We should go over there. When they had the Antifa thing and they started having these groups, BLM is another one too, where they were breaking into these gated communities. The whole fire, gentrifier, fire, get the fire thing. Yeah. All of a sudden, when that started happening, they got real serious. All of a sudden, that was a big thing. We can't have this at all. That's not going to work. But you didn't say anything when it was happening to, us down the street. You're only saying it now because it's in your community. Isn't that interesting? Oy. All right. Let's see here. I want to just switch gears just a little bit here because I'm trying to kind of go in order on this just a little bit. Let me switch to this real quick. So regarding Tina Kotek. Oh boy, here we go. So she posted on her X account. So this is, I'm going to read the tweet and then I'll let you listen to it. The story of Oregon's workforce is inseparable from the story of our immigrant communities. Now, notice she didn't say what type of immigrant, and that was intentional. From our agricultural fields to our hospitals and from construction sites to restaurants, workers form the backbone of industries to sustain our daily lives. Now, let me ask you this. If you look at Tina Kotek, do you think she's ever worked in an agricultural field? I'm curious. And maybe she did. Maybe she did. I tend to think she probably never has. Or a construction site for that matter. I don't know. Let's listen to what she said, shall we? Obviously, this is a rally for Latinos. Happy May Day.
The story of Oregon's workforce is inseparable from the story of our immigrant communities, from our agricultural fields.
So if you're not watching the video, you won't see this. Again, liberals can't do speeches off the cuff. It's a very rare liberal that can. Bill Clinton was one of them. I will give him that. Barack Obama, not so much, kind of, not really. Not anywhere near as good as Clinton. Clinton, I think, succeeded. One of the reasons he did well is because he could do this. He could walk up and he could just, wing it. And he'd be fine. Now, the opposite end of that spectrum, of course, would be someone like George W. Bush or even Donald Trump during the run-up to his election and arguably through most of his first term. And even now, essentially. Much better off the cuff than he is reading a teleprompter. Anyway, let's finish listening to this.
To our hospitals, from construction sites to restaurants, workers form the backbone of industries that sustain our daily lives. And that's why I'm committed to ensuring that every worker in Oregon, and I mean every worker, has access to safe working conditions, fair wages, and the dignity that all workers deserve.
Okay, so this sounds good on the surface, right? It does. It sounds good. Well, she's committed to wages and all this other stuff, okay? Now, Keith Swank, a sheriff, commented back more racist comments from a Democrat referring to, a lot of these folks. This was at a Hispanic gathering that it was pandering. But there's another part in there that maybe Keith was, or Sheriff Swank, was referring to this, but he didn't enunciate it well. He didn't communicate it well. This is another example of the soft bigotry of low expectations. And one of these days, I'm going to find out who coined that term, because that is an absolutely brilliant concept. This is, Pierce County Sheriff Keith Swank. That's right. Workers form the backbone of industries that sustain our daily lives. Now, do you really think they don't know this? Do you really think that they don't get this? Of course they know this. So you coming out and saying that is, well, you didn't know this, so I'm telling you this. You weren't smart enough to figure this out, so I'm going to figure it out for you. And again, it's kind of like the backhanded compliment, right? You compliment someone, but you don't really want to compliment them, so you sort of kind of insult them. That's what this is. You can't have, you won't be able to have fair wages. You won't be able to have, let's go through the list here real quick. You won't be able to have good working conditions. You won't be able to have, and again, I mean every worker. Okay, you didn't mean that with the first part. Let's listen to the end of this. There's just so much in this to
every worker in Oregon, and I mean every worker.
So what did you mean then? Every worker in Oregon, and I mean every worker. So you didn't mean every worker the first time you said it? What is she talking about there? And of course, what she's talking about is people are here illegally. That's what she's talking about. But again, the soft bigotry of low expectations.
Has access to safe working conditions.
So they don't already have that? They don't already have. So let me get this straight. With all the crap that businesses have to go through, okay, OSHA is a big one, right? What is it? The Labor Relations Board, okay, the national one. All the union stuff, if you're in a union, okay, all the stuff that they have to go through. And you're telling me that these folks don't know this. Now, this is the other thing. Okay, well, what about, like, say, people will say, well, Chris, what about an orchard or something like that? Okay, let me ask you this. Does it behoove the orchardist, or the orchard owner, rather, to have pieces of equipment, ladders and bins and stuff like that, and bags for picking apples and all that stuff? Does it behoove the owner to have those in poor repair? Or, and therefore the worker gets injured? Or does it behoove that owner instead to have good equipment in good repair so that the workers that he hires, he or she, can continue to work and continue to do good work? Minimal bruising on the apples or whatever they're picking, for example. Maybe it's water if they're out cleaning up a field, making sure they're hydrated, making sure they have facilities to use the bathroom. Or, would it make more sense for them to be injured or die? Clearly not. Again, this is just, it's stupid. This is literally pandering in the worst way.
Fair wages and the dignity that all workers deserve.
So right now you're saying that they don't have fair wages and that they don't have dignity. I can tell you right now, my son, okay, he's worked in the fields. I have plenty of family members who have worked in the fields. I'm a farm boy myself. I've worked in the fields picking rocks, okay? Working on machines that harvested crop. I mean, they make it sound like there's no dignity there. The dignity of all workers. So the work that they're doing isn't dignified? You see where this goes, right? You understand what I'm getting at here. This is a liberal thinking, oh, I care so much, I'm going to let people know how much I care. No, you're illustrating how much of a jackass you are. That's what this comes across to anybody who actually uses their brain for more than 5 seconds, thinks and understands. This liberal person, this Kotek woman here, she doesn't understand what these people do. If you took and put her and said, hey, we're going to have you do undercover boss, right? So, Governor, here's what we're going to do. Here's some gloves. Okay, there's a bin right there. We're going to have you go work with that fellow right there who is an expert. I mean, this dude will pick apples so fast it'll make your head spin. And believe me, there are people like that. And you're going to learn from him. Now, he's really fast, but he's also a very good teacher. So just pay attention, listen, don't give off who you are, and we'll go. She wouldn't know what to do. She'd last maybe half a day, if that, and then she'd throw in the towel. And guess what? By the time, that worker could probably do more for the economy. Let's say that person picks a couple bins a day, right? Just throwing a number out there. That person has already done more for the economy than Tina Kotek has in her time as governor already. Much more. Much more. Positive. Kotek's probably done some things that are very negative for the economy. This person's done more that's in a positive way. Okay, anyway. Just wanted to bring that up. That's, it's typical of liberals. They want you to pay attention to what they say rather than what they do. All right, speaking of that, let's go back to some root cause, shall we? This is at, where is this? I can't really tell. This is a graduation ceremony, and this is in a Republican state, apparently. And a whole bunch, this is posted on TikTok by Brittany, I can't read it, but it was reposted by the Liz variant. I don't know. Let's see what this sounds like. This is a graduation ceremony, and a Republican governor is getting up to speak. Let's listen to this, and I'll kind of provide commentary as we go.
Family and friends, Grand Nation.
So a whole bunch of people are leaving right now.
What a distinct privilege it is to join you this morning to honor and congratulate the class of 2024.
Now a whole boatload of people are leaving. and these people are getting cheered. So let me ask you this. Again, whenever you see liberals doing something like this, let's switch it up and see if the reaction would be the same. So if Tina Kotek, right, who is a liberal Democrat, if Tina Kotek spoke at, say, Oregon State University, right, in Corvallis, let's say she spoke at OSU's commencement ceremony, okay? And a bunch of conservative Republican people, the conservative Republicans caucus, if you will, or the club rather, in that senior class, in that graduating class, had decided, you know what, we're going to walk out. We don't want to listen to what she says. It's just going to be a bunch of DEI BS anyway. To hell with her. And they walked out. How do you think that would be covered? I'm curious. Would it be, oh, it was so brave. You know, there was so much bravery there. They had the courage to stick with their values. And you know, they weren't going to listen to this hate-filled, you know, bigot that is telling them that they can't get anywhere because they aren't, you know, BIPOC or whatever the common term is. They're basically, because they're white, they're not going to be there, even though not all the people were white. Or, you know, because they're white adjacent. That's where it would go. If they were black or Hispanic, it'd be white or Asian. They'd be white adjacent. Would that be the coverage? Or would it be, look at these hate-filled bigots walking out on our brave governor. Oh, what is wrong with these people? I cannot believe they would do that. They're so terrible. And it's all because of the orange man. Literal orange Hitler. That would be what it was. Obvious, you know, the crying part, maybe not so much, but I think that's the way that would be covered, don't you? But you listen to this, you see this, and it would be covered as disrespectful too, by the way. It would be seen as incredibly disrespectful that these people were just disrespecting this governor, and I can't believe they would do this. And, you know, she came up here, and because she's a woman, because she's same-sex attracted, you know, oh, I can't believe the disrespect. But you look at this, these people are being cheered. And here's the thing. This is the other thing. If you look at most conservative groups, okay, not all, but most, when a liberal gets up to speak, they will sit there and politely listen because they have respect for the speaker. In this case, you know, had that been turned around, they probably wouldn't have walked out because that's the governor speaking. And this is the commencement speech. And at the end of the day, that speech really doesn't mean squat. It is not something that's going to change your life, likely. If it is something that changes your life, okay, why? That's how they'd look at it as, you know what? That's fine. I'm just going to sit here. I'll work on something in my head while this person yammers on, you know, ad nauseum. Once it's done, I'll walk. I'll get my diploma, and I'm off to go. That's it. I have no idea. I don't remember anything about the speakers at my college commencement. Not a clue. Don't remember it. I'm sure the university president spoke, obviously. But in terms of who the actual person, you know, the guest speaker was, don't know, don't care. Frankly, I don't remember. It didn't mean anything to me. It could have been at the time. Let's see, that would have been Gary Locke, I think. Was it Gary Locke? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Anyway, the point is, it wouldn't have made a difference. Even if they'd given an incredibly inspirational speech, right? Let's say they had come up there and they had just rocked a speech. Great speech, you know. Again, Obama was really good at doing blockbuster speeches. But let's say they'd done that. Still doesn't affect me. Because guess what? If I want to do something, I'm going to do that. I don't know. It's, yeah, this is disrespectful. Walking out on this is extremely disrespectful. And the Liz variant, who again retweeted this, said, "Oh, look, a bunch of future Starbucks baristas walked out of a graduation ceremony." There's another video, by the way, of a bunch of people. Unfortunately, they all appear to be black, which is sad. running around acting like idiots after they're done. And again, it doesn't look good. It's not a look that you want to have. And in this case, these people are going to be remembered as, first of all, the people that are there that are actually staying are going to be like, yeah, whatever. Okay, they'll remember, yeah, when I graduated, a bunch of idiots walked out during the governor's speech. They'll remember that. And then they'll say, gee, I wonder where those people are now. You know what? I don't care because I'm doing fine. That's disrespectful. And any of the parents of these graduates, I would be mortified. If my kid did this, I would rip them up one side and down the other. I mean, if they can't deal with this, if they can't deal with someone who they probably disagree with, that's fine. But if they can't even listen to this, how are these people going to function in the real world? I'm curious. How are they going to do that? How are they going to be when their boss walks up to them and says, hey, we need to talk for a minute. How come you've been able to get done, one topic or one unit or whatever, when that person over there who started after you has been able to get done 4 in one day? Are they going to walk off the job because they're being, there's some questions being asked? Or if they don't make their goals and they get their butt chewed, or they screw up and they get their butt chewed, are they going to be able to handle that, or are they just going to walk off? Is that the solution? I don't understand where, and it's not this generation, but a lot of it now is this generation. Where is this? I don't know. It's baffling to me. All right, folks, this has been the first segment of the Chris Richman Show for Thursday. Where's my thing here? Wednesday. Whew, wow, I'm having a hard time with the days today, folks. Really bad. Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. Appreciate you listening today. Like I said, hoping to try this new camera thing out. This camera, the one that's actually doing the main recording, seems to be working just fine. The audio looks good. It's the screen grab part of it that I'm a little sketchy on, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. So hopefully you'll be able to see that. Yeah, give me a shout. Give me some feedback. I love it. I love feedback. I do. I may not always listen to it because, well, it's my show, but I'll always take feedback, good, bad, or the other. So hopefully good. Anyway, this has been segment 1. We'll see you for segment 2. And have a good day until we see you again.